A dream anniversary trip turns into a nightmare when Jake discovers his wife's secret. What happens when trust shatters under tropical skies? The truth will hit harder than he ever imagined. Jake's fingers tapped rhythmically on the kitchen counter in their Seattle apartment, a nervous habit he hadn't shaken since college. The open laptop glowed with flight options to Hawaii, each tab a step toward their 4th anniversary celebration. Mia, his wife of 28, sat cross-legged on the couch, her phone buzzing with notifications as she scrolled through Oahu travel blogs. "This beach has bioluminescent waves at night," she said, eyes sparkling with excitement. "We have to see it." Jake nodded, clicking to confirm 6 plane tickets. Their close friends, Lila, Nate, Sarah, and Ryan, Jake's best man, were joining them for the trip. It wasn't just a getaway. It was a chance to cement their bond as a group, to make memories that would outlast the daily grind. Ryan, a Japanese-American with an infectious laugh, had already texted the group chat, suggesting a hike to a hidden waterfall. His charisma always pulled people in, and Jake appreciated how he could turn strangers into friends in minutes. "Ryan's going to have us all cliff diving by day 2, Jake said, half joking as he finalized the hotel booking. Mia laughed, but her gaze lingered on her phone, a faint smile fading as she typed a quick reply to someone. Jake didn't notice, too focused on securing a beachfront villa for the group. The planning phase buzzed with energy. Mia took charge of the itinerary, pinning activities like snorkeling and a luau dinner to a shared document. Jake handled logistics, double-checking passports and rental car availability. Their friends chipped in with ideas. Lila wanted to visit a local market. Nate pushed for a surf lesson. Ryan, ever the organizer, volunteered to lead the group on a sunrise trek. By the time they boarded the plane, the group's excitement was palpable. Sarah passed around a bag of snacks. Nate cracked jokes about turbulence, and Ryan led an impromptu sing-along to a cheesy pop song. Mia leaned against Jake, her head on his shoulder, whispering, "This is going to be perfect." Hawaii greeted them with warm air and the scent of plumeria. At Honolulu Airport, Ryan rallied everyone to pose for a group photo, his arm slung casually around Mia as she adjusted her camera. Jake, lugging 2 suitcases, grinned at the chaos. The villa was a short drive away, and they settled in quickly, claiming rooms and unpacking with the buzz of new surroundings. That evening, they hit Waikiki Beach, where the sunset painted the sky in fiery hues. Mia snapped photos of the waves, her enthusiasm drawing smiles from passers-by. Jake watched her, proud of how effortlessly she connected with the world around her. The first few days flew by. The group kayaked through turquoise waters, explored a bustling farmer's market, and shared plates of poke under string lights. Ryan's knack for storytelling shone during dinners, recounting his family's move from Osaka to Seattle when he was a kid. "My dad used to say, 'Find home wherever you stand,'" he said, raising a glass. Jake clinked his drink against Ryan's, grateful for a friend who'd been there through college, his wedding, and now this trip. Mia, sitting across the table, nodded along, but her eyes flicked to Ryan a moment too long. On the third night, the group heard about a beach party at Lani Kai, known for its thumping music and electric vibe. Ryan was all in, convincing everyone it was a must. "This is the kind of night you tell your kids about," he said, grinning. Jake, usually reserved, felt the group's energy pull him along. They arrived as the sun dipped below the horizon, the beach alive with colorful lights and pulsing beats. Mia danced with Lila and Sarah, her laughter carrying over the music. Jake tried a local rum drink, then another, the alcohol loosening his usual restraint. Ryan moved through the crowd, chatting with locals and even the DJ, his ease making him the night's unofficial host. As the hours blurred, Jake's steps grew unsteady. He leaned on a driftwood bench, the world tilting slightly. Mia noticed, touching his arm. "You okay?" she asked, her voice soft but concerned. He waved her off, laughing. "Just living the island life." She smiled, but her attention shifted back to the dance floor, where Ryan was spinning Sarah in a playful twirl. Jake didn't see Mia slip away later, assuming she was with the group. By midnight, his head spun, and Nate helped him back to the villa. "You're a lightweight, man," Nate teased, as Jake collapsed onto the bed, shoes still on. In the early hours, Jake stirred, his throat dry and head pounding. The room was dark, the only light a faint glow from the street. He reached for Mia, But the bed beside him was empty, the sheets cool. A vague unease settled in his chest, but his foggy mind dismissed it. She was probably grabbing a snack or chatting with someone downstairs. He closed his eyes, drifting back to sleep, unaware that the night's carefree joy was already cracking. The morning sun pierced through the villa's curtains, jolting Jake awake. His head throbbed, a bitter taste lingering in his mouth. He squinted at the clock, 7:42 a.m., and noticed Mia slipping into the room, her camera bag slung over her shoulder. "Where were you?" he croaked, sitting up. She paused, then said, "Couldn't sleep. Went for a walk to catch the sunrise." Her voice was steady, but she avoided his gaze, busying herself with unpacking lenses. Jake rubbed his temples, fragments of the previous night's party flashing in his mind. Music, drinks, Mia dancing. He vaguely recalled waking to an empty bed, but her explanation seemed plausible. "You okay?" she asked, glancing over. He nodded, brushing off the unease, and stumbled to the bathroom for a shower. Breakfast was lively, with the group gathered around a table piled with mango and pancakes. Ryan recounted a story about bartering with a vendor at the market, making Sarah and Nate laugh until coffee nearly spilled. Mia joined in, but her smiles felt brief, her focus drifting to her phone. Jake, still groggy, didn't press her, instead coordinating the day's plan. A snorkeling trip to Hanuma Bay. The group piled into a rental van, the mood buoyant as they sang along to a local radio station. At the bay, they plunged into clear waters, chasing schools of fish among coral reefs. Mia snapped underwater photos, her enthusiasm returning as she pointed out a sea turtle to Lila. Jake swam nearby, relieved to see her engaged, the morning's odd moment fading. That evening, they joined a luau, the air thick with the scent of roasted pork and plumeria lays. Ryan led a toast to epic nights and epic fights, winking at Jake, who chuckled despite his lingering headache. Mia danced with the group, her movements fluid under the torchlight, but Jake noticed her exchanging quick words with Ryan during a break. It was nothing overt, just a shared laugh, a brief touch on the arm, but it stuck in his mind. He pushed it aside, blaming the hangover, and joined Nate for a round of kava shots, the bitter drink dulling his senses. The next day, the group hiked a trail Ryan had found, a steep path to a waterfall tucked in the rainforest. He led the way, joking about spotting mythical creatures, keeping everyone's spirits high. Mia lagged behind, claiming she wanted to photograph the foliage. Jake stayed with her, carrying her tripod, but her silence felt heavy. "Everything good?" he asked, adjusting his backpack. She nodded quickly, saying, "Just tired from last night." They caught up with the group at the waterfall, where Ryan was already diving into the pool below, urging others to join. Mia hesitated, then jumped in, laughing as she surfaced. Jake watched, a flicker of doubt resurfacing, but he dove in too, letting the cold water clear his head. Back at the villa, the group planned their final night. Another beach party, this one at a spot known for fire dancers and live music. Jake, wary of drinking again, stuck to water, determined to stay sharp. The beach was alive with drums and glowing torches. Mia danced with Sarah, her energy infectious, while Ryan mingled with locals, arranging a spot for their group near the fire show. Jake sat back, observing. He noticed Mia and Ryan talking again, their heads close as they laughed over something on her phone. It was quick, fleeting, but it gnawed at him. When Mia returned, he asked, "What was that about?" She shrugged, saying, "Just showing him some photos." Her tone was casual, but her eyes darted away. As the night wore on, Jake's unease grew. He stayed close to Mia, but she seemed distracted, checking her phone more than usual. Ryan, meanwhile, was everywhere, dancing, chatting, passing out drinks. Jake tried to join the fun, but his mind kept replaying the morning, the empty bed, the quick glances. Around 1 a.m., he felt a headache creeping back and decided to head to the villa. "I'm calling it," he told Mia, expecting her to follow. She hesitated, then said, "I'll stay a bit, help clean up our stuff." Ryan offered to walk her back later, and Jake, too tired to argue, agreed. Back in the room, Jake collapsed onto the bed, the hum of the party distant through the open window. He woke hours later, the clock reading 3:17 a.m. The bed was empty again. His heart raced as he checked the balcony, the bathroom. Nothing. He texted Mia. No reply. Pacing, he fought rising panic. When she slipped in at 4:05 a.m., carrying a bottle of water, she froze at his stare. Got caught up talking to a photographer, she said, her voice tight. Lost track of time. Jake didn't respond, his mind churning. He lay back down, eyes open, the seed of doubt now a growing storm. The flight back to Seattle was quiet, the group's energy drained from days of sun and late nights. Jake stared out the plane window, the Pacific a blur below, his mind stuck on Mia's late return from the party. She sat beside him, earbuds in, scrolling through photos she'd taken in Hawaii. Ryan, across the aisle, joked with Nate about a missed surf lesson, but his usual charm felt forced. Jake's gut churned. He hadn't confronted Mia about the night before, unsure if his suspicion was just paranoia. He focused on the hum of the engines, willing the unease to fade. Back home, life snapped back to routine. Jake returned to his marketing job, pitching campaigns, while Mia edited her photos for a freelance gig. The group chat buzzed with shared memories. Sarah posted a video of the luau. Lila planned a reunion dinner, but Jake's replies were short. He noticed Mia texting more, often stepping outside to take calls. Client stuff, she said when he asked, but her quick smile didn't reach her eyes. One evening, as Jake sorted travel receipts, he found a bar tab from the last party night, time-stamped 3:45 a.m. with 2 drinks listed. He hadn't ordered anything that late. His jaw tightened, but he slipped the receipt into a drawer, not ready to face it. Weeks later, Mia sat Jake down after dinner, her hands fidgeting. I'm pregnant, she said, her voice soft but certain. Jake's heart leapt. He pulled her into a hug, questions tumbling out. How far along? When did she know? Her answers were vague, citing a missed cycle and a recent test. The news washed away his lingering doubts, replacing them with a surge of purpose. They called their parents, who cheered over speakerphone, and texted close friends. Ryan's reply came fast. Congrats, man. You're going to be a legend, Dad. Jake grinned, ignoring the faint twinge in his chest. The next months were a whirlwind of preparation. Jake measured the spare room for a crib, painted walls a soft blue, and scoured online reviews for strollers. Mia pored over baby name lists, suggesting Noah or Liam, while pinning nursery ideas on her phone. They attended a parenting class, laughing through awkward diaper-changing drills. Jake's excitement grew, but so did a nagging observation. Mia avoided talking about the Hawaii trip, redirecting whenever he brought it up. Once, when he mentioned the bar tab, she shrugged, saying she'd grabbed a drink with Ryan while waiting for a cab. The explanation felt thin, but Jake let it go, caught up in the anticipation of fatherhood. As Mia's pregnancy progressed, small cracks appeared. She grew distant, spending hours on her phone, claiming it was work or family chats. Jake caught her deleting messages once, her screen flashing Ryan's name before she locked it. Just coordinating the reunion dinner, she said, but her voice wavered. Jake's suspicion crept back, sharper now. He started checking her phone when she showered, hating himself for it, but unable to stop. Most messages were mundane, but one from Ryan, missed those nights, felt like a punch. He didn't confront her, unsure what it meant, but the seed of doubt took root. The delivery day came fast. Jake drove Mia to the hospital, gripping her hand through contractions. Hours later, the nurse called him to the delivery room. Mia, exhausted but smiling, held their newborn son. Jake's breath caught as he approached, ready to meet his child. But as he looked closer, his world tilted. The baby's delicate features, light skin, slightly almond-shaped eyes, mirrored Ryan's unmistakably. The room spun. Jake's smile froze, his mind racing back to the empty bed, the bar tab, the deleted texts. He said nothing, nodding as the nurse handed him forms to sign. Alone with Mia later, the baby asleep in a bassinet. Jake's voice was low but steady. He looks like Ryan. Mia's face paled. She stammered, saying all babies look similar at first, but Jake pressed, I need the truth. Now. Her eyes filled with tears. She admitted it. One night in Hawaii, after the party, she and Ryan had gotten too close. It was a mistake, she swore, driven by alcohol and the moment. Jake's chest tightened, but he stayed calm. I want a DNA test, he said, standing. Mia begged him to wait to talk, but he shook his head. We're done. He walked out, the hospital's sterile hum drowning out her pleas, his heart shattering as the truth settled in. Jake sat in the hospital parking lot, the engine off, his hands gripping the steering wheel. The DNA test was ordered, results due in days, but the truth already burned in his chest. Mia's confession echoed, her and Ryan, that night in Hawaii, a reckless moment that shattered everything. He drove home in silence, the nursery's blue walls now a mocking reminder of his misplaced trust. That evening, he called a lawyer, scheduling a meeting to discuss divorce. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he hung up. Mia stayed at the hospital with the baby, her phone silent after Jake's last text. "Pack your things when you're discharged." She tried calling, but he didn't answer. Her sister, Emily, arrived, offering a place to stay. Mia nodded, tears falling, and began arranging to leave the home she'd built with Jake. The baby, Noah, slept in her arms, unaware of the storm around him. Mia whispered apologies to him, her guilt a heavy weight as she prepared to face life alone. Back in Seattle, Jake met his lawyer in a small office downtown. He laid out the situation: infidelity, the pregnancy, the DNA test. The lawyer outlined steps: file for divorce, revoke paternity if the test confirmed his suspicions, and protect his assets. Jake agreed, signing initial papers with a mechanical calm. At home, he boxed up Mia's belongings, avoiding the nursery. Friends reached out, sensing tension, but he kept details vague, saying only that he and Mia were separating. Sarah dropped by with takeout, her concern clear, but Jake deflected, focusing on work deadlines to stay grounded. The DNA results arrived 3 days later, emailed to Jake's inbox. He opened the file alone, the screen confirming what he dreaded. He was not Noah's father. Ryan was. His stomach churned, but he forwarded the results to his lawyer without hesitation. That afternoon, he met Mia at the house, where she was collecting her things. Noah slept in a carrier by the door. "It's over," Jake said, handing her the divorce papers. Mia's eyes pleaded for a chance to explain, but he cut her off. "You chose this. Leave." She gathered her bags, Emily waiting in the car, and walked out, the door clicking shut behind her. Ryan, meanwhile, learned the truth from Mia's tearful call. Stunned, he drove to Jake's house, determined to explain. Jake opened the door, his face hard. "Get out," he said, voice low but sharp. Ryan started to speak, apologizing, blaming the alcohol, but Jake raised a hand. "If you don't leave, I'll call the police." Ryan backed off, his usual confidence gone, and drove away, the weight of his actions sinking in. He texted Mia, offering support, but she didn't respond, overwhelmed at her sister's apartment. Mia struggled to adjust. Emily helped with Noah, but the cramped guest room felt like a cage. Friends distanced themselves, whispers of the scandal spreading. Mia focused on Noah, feeding him, soothing his cries, but her thoughts spiraled. Losing Jake, her home, her stability. She reached out to Ryan, asking for help with baby supplies. He agreed, dropping off diapers and formula, but their talks were strained, guilt hanging between them. Ryan began questioning his choices, his easygoing life unraveling as mutual friends pulled away. Jake threw himself into work, pitching new campaigns with a focus that surprised his colleagues. After hours, he met with a therapist, unpacking the betrayal in measured steps. His parents visited, cooking meals and urging him to take time off, but Jake refused, needing routine to anchor him. He cleared the nursery, donating the crib and toys to a local shelter, each item a step toward closure. Late at night, he scrolled through old photos of the Hawaii trip, pausing on one of Ryan and Mia laughing by the fire. He deleted it, his jaw tight, and shut his laptop. Ryan, feeling the social fallout, accepted a job transfer to San Francisco. Before leaving, he met Mia at a park, holding Noah for the first time. His heart raced, torn between pride and shame. "I want to be there for him," he said, but Mia shook her head. "We need space." Ryan nodded, promising to send money, and left for California, his reputation in Seattle tainted. Mia stayed with Emily, applying for freelance jobs to rebuild her life, each day a struggle to balance motherhood and regret. Jake's divorce filing moved forward. He met with his lawyer again, ensuring the process was clean, no alimony, no shared custody, just a final break. Friends rallied around him, Nate organizing a hiking trip to clear Jake's mind. On the trail, Jake felt a flicker of peace, the forest quiet a stark contrast to his inner turmoil. He knew healing would take time, but for the first time, he saw a path forward, one where trust might someday return. A year after the divorce papers were signed, Jake stood in a Seattle community center, setting up chairs for a youth mentoring program he'd started. His marketing job had stabilized, with a promotion that kept him busy, but this volunteer work gave him purpose. He guided teens through resume-building workshops, sharing stories of resilience without mentioning his own. His therapist had helped him reframe the betrayal, not as a wound to carry, but as a lesson in boundaries. Friends like Nate and Sarah stayed close, inviting him to game nights, though he rarely spoke of Mia or Ryan. One evening, a teen thanked Jake for advice on handling family conflict, and he felt a quiet pride, a sign he was moving forward. Mia, now settled in a small apartment near Emily's, balanced freelance photography with raising Noah. She'd landed a contract with a local magazine, shooting events to cover rent. Motherhood was relentless, late-night feedings, doctor visits, but Noah's first steps brought her joy amid the grind. Emily babysat when Mia worked, offering tough love about her past choices. "You're stronger than that mistake," Emily said, pushing Mia to join a parenting group. There, Mia found others navigating single parenthood, their stories easing her isolation. She avoided dating, focusing on stability, but sometimes caught herself staring at old photos of Jake, wondering if she'd ever rebuild trust with anyone. Ryan, in San Francisco, faced a different reality. His new job in tech sales kept him afloat, but the move hadn't erased the fallout. Old friends from Seattle stopped replying, and his family, disappointed by the scandal, kept calls brief. He started volunteering at a community kitchen, serving meals to stay grounded. Holding Noah in that park lingered in his mind, a fleeting connection to a son he barely knew. He sent monthly checks to Mia, who accepted them without comment. One night, alone in his apartment, he wrote a letter to Jake, apologizing for the betrayal, but tore it up, knowing it wouldn't change anything. Jake's life gained momentum. He ran a half marathon with Nate, trained for it through early mornings, the rhythm of his steps away to process lingering anger. His parents, proud of his progress, hosted a small birthday dinner for him, where he laughed freely for the first time in months. The house, once filled with baby gear, now held a bike rack and books on leadership. He started dating casually a co-worker who shared his love for hiking, though he kept things light, guarding his heart. At therapy, he discussed trust, admitting he might never fully let go of caution, but could live with it. Mia faced a turning point when Noah's daycare teacher suggested early intervention for a speech delay. She dove into research, scheduling evaluations, and leaned on her parenting group for advice. The process forced her to confront her guilt. She hadn't been present enough, too caught up in her own regrets. She called her mother, who flew in from Portland, helping with Noah while Mia rebuilt her confidence. At a magazine shoot, a client praised her work, offering a steady gig. Mia accepted, seeing a path to independence, though she knew repairing her reputation would take years. Ryan's volunteering led to a mentorship role at the community kitchen, where he taught cooking classes to at-risk youth. The work felt like atonement, a way to rebuild his sense of self. He reached out to Mia, asking about Noah, but her replies were short, focused on logistics. He stopped pushing, respecting her boundaries, and focused on his own growth. A co-worker invited him to a local art event, and he went, surprised to enjoy the small talk, a hint of the charm he'd lost. Still, late-night thoughts of Seattle, Jake's cold stare, Mia's tears, kept him grounded in his consequences. Jake finalized his healing at a mentoring event, where a teen shared a story of overcoming family betrayal. Jake listened, then offered advice. "You can't change what they did, but you control what you build next." The words felt like his own closure. He drove home under a clear Seattle sky, the weight of the past lighter. Mia, cradling Noah after a long day, felt a similar shift, ready to face her future as a mother. Ryan, teaching a kid to chop vegetables, found purpose in small acts. Each carried scars, but their paths, now separate, led toward redemption, shaped by accountability and the quiet strength to move on.